Hello! Thank you for joining us for this virtual conversation about Be Internet Legends from Google and Parent Zone. Today we're going to be talking about helping your children to be safer and more confident online. My name's Chelsea and I'm part of Parent Zone's Be Internet Legends team. I've been teaching this in primary schools for about 3 years now, and I'll be stopping to respond to your thoughts and your questions as we go along. We've also got our expert Tim in the chat box, so feel free to ask any question that pops into your head. Remember, there is no such thing as a bad question. In fact, I'm going to ask you some questions as we go along, so make sure you've got those typing fingers ready. Now, just before we start, I want to check that everybody can see me and the pictures around me. If the quality of your video isn't very good, I recommend pressing refresh in your browser. And then whether you're watching on a phone or a tablet or a computer, you'll notice a little cog in the bottom right of your screen. So if you click on that and select quality, you can change it there, and that'll help depending on whatever your Wi-Fi or your data can cope with. Now, this whole session will take about 30 minutes. We'll explain the first few minutes explaining what Be Internet Legends is and why it's more important now than ever. Then we'll move on to the Legends Code. So that's the 5 most important things for your children to remember when they're online before moving on to digital wellbeing. So that bit will take about 10 to 15 minutes, and there'll be loads of opportunities for you to ask questions or share your experiences as we go along. Finally, we'll finish up with some fantastic resources like our game Interland and the next steps that you can take from home. So without further ado, grab yourselves a cup of tea or coffee, get yourselves comfortable, and we will begin. In a nutshell, Be Internet Legends is an internet safety programme developed by experts for schools and families. And we've been teaching this in schools across the UK for 3 years now, with a mix of interactive assemblies, really fun lessons, and a fab game called Interland. And we've still been doing all that virtually. So what we want to do today is help you with some of the tips and the techniques that we've developed for Be Internet Legends for you to use at home with your children if you want to. And Be Internet Legends is all about sharing, so we'd love to hear about the things that are working for you when it comes to supporting your kids online. So feel free to pop any experiences in that chat box. So let me tell you a little bit more about Be Internet Legends. It's a programme that covers the most important skills and behaviours that children need to be safer and more confident online. So we break this down into easy to remember things about internet safety, ways to develop healthy habits, and ideas to make sure that they're confident explorers of the online world. Right now, I bet you're juggling so many things at once. You might have your kids at home for the summer, you're trying to look after them whilst trying to work, and of course, you're trying to keep in touch with your friends and family. It's a really tricky time, but you're definitely not alone. Across the world, 1.5 billion children have been at home because of the pandemic, and each of those families will have their own new normal. So I'd love to know where you're tuning in from today, this afternoon. Maybe let us know where you're from, say hello, let us know what your new normal looks like. Any questions you've got, any experiences you want to share, pop them in that chat box. Our expert Tim's waiting now, and I'll have a look in there in a few moments. But I just want to share with you this question that we've been asked quite a lot during the last few months, and it's this. Is it okay for children to spend more time gaming in lockdown? And what we say is it's okay to relax some of the rules as long as you're keeping an eye on how that's making them feel and making sure that they've got a good offline-online balance. So, wherever you are right now and whatever your normal might look like, Be Internet Legends is here to help your children use the internet safely and confidently and keep an eye on their digital well-being at the same time. The programme includes a full internet safety curriculum, and that's been developed with help from the police, psychologists, children's charities and education experts. So our research told us that we needed to focus on 5 key messages. So we created the Legends Code. So this is the 5 most important things for your children to remember when they're online. Now it's a really child-friendly way for them to remember, and I'm going to go through each of them now. So the first one is be internet sharp, think before you share. Be internet alert, check it's for real. Be internet secure, protect your stuff. Be internet kind, respect each other. And be internet brave, when in doubt, discuss. Now, before I pause to have a little look at what's going on in the chat box, I just want to quickly introduce you to the digital wellbeing part of Be Internet Legends. So we encourage children to think about how technology makes them feel, the positives and the negatives, and really help them reflect on their own screen use. And this can be really helpful, especially now as they might be spending more time online, and it might even help some of those screen time squabbles you might be having. Right, have we got any questions there? Ooh. There's no questions, but don't be shy. Like I say, there's no such thing as a stupid or bad question. Pop it in the chat box. Any experiences you want to share, we'd love to hear those and share them with everybody as well, because you guys are the experts. You're at home with your children. I'll have a look in the chat box a bit later on, but Tim is in there now as well. And I'm now going to introduce you to each part of the Legends Code in a bit more detail. So the first part of the code is be internet sharp, and it's all about managing your privacy and protecting your personal information online. So we always tell children to think before they share. And whilst they're stuck at home, they might want to share more than they normally would, but it's just as important that they're careful as ever. Now, this applies to when they're taking photographs or having video chats, to remind your kids to make sure they're checking what's in the background, because we don't want them to show anything on that video chat or on that photograph that they don't want anybody else to see. Now, you can help your children to be internet sharp by having a conversation with them about what information's okay to share and what information should be kept private. And really break this down for you with your children, because it might be okay to share some things with your close friends and family that you wouldn't share with maybe online friends or strangers on the internet. So really breaking it down. What can you share with your family and close friends? Then what information could you share and should be keeping private from maybe online friends who your children are gaming with? And then thinking about that information that you're sharing and keeping private from anybody else who's on the internet. The second part of the code is be internet alert. So this one kind of gives the children the skills to be detectives. So they're spotting for clues that something might be fake, or it might be misleading, or it could even be a scam. So in the assemblies, we teach children to check any links before clicking on them. We ask them to look out for the closed padlock in the address bar, and if a website has one of these, it's a good sign that it's more secure and safer to use. And we always tell them, if they're ever unsure, to check with you as their trusted adult to help them. Now, there are loads of scams and misleading stories going around during the pandemic, but we find when your kids know how to spot the clues, that they can often spot them a mile away. Third part of the code is be internet secure. So this one is all about protecting your stuff and keeping your information safe online. Now, there are some really simple security things you can do at home with your children, like helping them to create a super strong password. Now, a super strong password needs to have at least 8 numbers, letters or symbols, and those letters need to be a mixture of uppercase and lowercase letters. We also tell children that it needs to be something that's easy for them to remember, but really hard for somebody else to guess. So there's no point having the name of your pet or your favourite sports team, because that's just too easy. Once you've got that password, they need to be keeping it to themselves, so they shouldn't be telling their best friends about it. And then we also remind children that they should be changing their passwords often, and that also, to keep things super secure, they should be having different passwords for their different accounts. We also talk to children about making sure that they're logging out of any accounts they're using. This is especially important if they're using a shared computer or device, and that can help keep everything super secure. Next part of the code is be internet kind. So this part of the code helps children to understand that communicating online is different to communicating in person. So it's all about keeping it fun and thinking about all those kind, positive ways to stay in touch with their friends and family. And even though communicating online is different than communicating in person, some of those same techniques apply. So in the assembly, we get children to think about, would I say this out loud? Would I say this to the other person's face? So really thinking about, would they say it? And if the answer's no, then they shouldn't send it. We also get children to think about how a message might come across to the person receiving it. So they're always thinking and making sure the messages they send are super kind to each other. Now the final part of the code is be internet brave. So this gives the children the confidence and the space to talk about anything that's been on their mind when they're online. Now this is especially important if it's something that might make them feel a bit nervous or embarrassed or worried. We always tell children it's best to be brave and talk to somebody about it. Now, they'll be used to their teachers in school checking in on them, so this can be something really useful for you to continue at home. So it might be good to make it a regular part of your day, maybe when you're going out on a walk or having your dinner or your tea, just to be chatting with your kids about what they've been doing online, what games they've been playing, who they've been talking to. And then if they ever do have a problem, there's a time in the day for them to come and tell you about anything that is making them feel worried. So that's it. That's the Legends Code. So it's teaching your children the most important skills and behaviours to help them enjoy the internet confidently and safely. So we've been through the code, but you guys do this every day. So I'd love to hear some of your thoughts on how you talk to your children about any of these topics. We've got a few ideas and a few resources to share that might help, but this stuff isn't always easy. So if anyone's got any tips on how do you encourage your children to talk to you about what they're doing online, I'd really, really love to hear that. I'm just going to look in the chat box now. Any questions, any comments you've got, pop them in the chat and I'll have a little look there in a moment again. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit more about the digital wellbeing part of the programme. Now, research tells us that there's no fixed rules about how much time a child should be spending online. So instead of rules, we want children to develop their own healthy habits so that you don't have to keep reminding them. So I've got 2 exercises that you could try at home if you want to, what we do in school. So the first one is we encourage children to track their track their feelings using emojis when they're online. So for example, your child could be playing a game online and when they start playing, they're super excited. So they draw the big, smiley, happy face. And then as they're playing, they're getting quite frustrated. They're not sure what they're supposed to be doing in that game. So they draw the angry red emoji face. And then as they continue to play, maybe they've cracked it, they know what they're supposed to be doing, so they want to give themselves a big thumbs up. So by tracking those feelings, you and your child can see how that time spent online is making them feel and how those feelings have been changing over time. Another activity we encourage children to do in school, what you can try at home if you want to, is keeping a digital diary. So it might be that your child's online for a set amount of time during the day, but during that time they're doing lots of different online activities. So they might be spending time chatting with their friends and family, then they might be playing a game and having loads of fun. Then they could be doing some education research, and then they might be doing something creative like making music or editing photos or something like that. So that allows them to see that their online activity is varied, so they're doing different things online, but also can help them make sure that they've got a healthy offline balance too. So that is a whistle-stop tour through the Be Internet Legends programme. Now, Be Internet Legends is in about 70% of schools, so chances are when you're tackling this stuff at home, you're already reinforcing those really, really important messages. Now, we're launching more and more resources to help out where we can, and we've got some great things you can do straight after this chat. Now, the first one is Interland. So Interland is an online game made by Google and Parent Zone, and kids absolutely love it. So as they're playing Interland, they're exploring different worlds and they're completing challenges based on the Legends code and having loads of fun whilst they learn. I've got a link for this game at the end of the chat, and Tim has just popped it in the chat box too. Now, I really encourage you to play this with your kids, have a go with them. I really love Kind Kingdom, that's definitely my favourite level. And Mindful Mountain I really struggle with, so we'd love to hear how you get on with the game. Maybe have a bit of a competition in your family, maybe the loser has to wash the dishes. Now, if you've still got some energy after adapting to working remotely and maybe still trying to get that online shopping slot, we've got more resources to help out. Now, these are designed to be really fun to do together as a family, and they're based on each of those parts of the Legends code. Now, we're continuing to add more and more resources in the upcoming weeks, so do check them out and keep checking back. I've got a link for those at the end of this chat, and Tim can pop it in the chat box for you too. Now, we know it's not always easy to keep your children entertained and educated at home, but Be Internet Legends is here to help. It'll help you make sure that they know how to stay safe and be confident when they're online, learning, playing and staying connected. Now, just before I dash, I'm going to have a little look in the chat box. Nothing there, not to worry. That's fine, don't worry. Now, if you do have a question, you might not have wanted to share the question in such an open forum, but if you do have a question, or a little bit later on tonight or tomorrow, you think, oh, I should have asked that, there is an email address on the screen now. So do ask any question there, and somebody from Legends headquarters will get back to you. Remember, there's no such thing as a bad question, and no question is too big or too small, so do use that email address if you need to. We've also got our parent hub with loads of resources there. Tim will pop the link in the chat box for you, so do check that out as well. Now, if this session has been useful, we've got more parent sessions coming up in the upcoming weeks, so do let your parent friends and family members know, because we want to spread the message of Be Internet Legends across the country. Tim's going to pop a little link for a survey in the chat box. Now, the survey will take about 30 seconds, really quick, and it's just really useful for us to get a bit of feedback to see if we're covering the things that are useful for you. So if you do have time to fill that in, that would be fantastic. I'm just going to check that chat box again, nothing there. Do check out the resources, play Interland. I promise you'll have so much fun. It's been really, really lovely speaking to you all this afternoon. Stay legendary, everybody. Bye-bye.